Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Monday sound stream where we are sitting in a new chair that I didn't tell anybody, including my friends, that I got a new chair. But my old chair broke, and I've been using it broken for like 3 months, and now I got a new chair. So, chair. But speaking of chairs, wheelchair isn't here yet. But we do have Fighter Cows.
Oh, hey. How's it going, Soundout? You're just the same Soundout, but with a new chair.
The new chair. It's a new chair
Yeah, but he's
Soundout.
got a new chair.
Malibu Stacy has a new hat.
You got the reference. Yes.
And we also have the wonderful Dark Claw 643.
So different now.
Oh yeah, we also, just as an FYI to the chat, we are running through Discord now, so if you can't hear somebody, let me know and I'll adjust them. I think I got it adjusted and balanced, but yeah, we're using Discord.
See,
so
right there, I sound clear and loud.
Yep.
Fine, you got your audio. You sound clear and loud. It not sound like you're going through. Not sound like you're going through a cave or something like that.
Yep.
It's because Skype hates my Mac and Soundout's Mac.
Oh yeah. So we're on Discord. There is no official like
Soundout
Discord.
Same mic. It's the same mic. It's just Discord.
We do have plans to have a Soundout12 Discord server eventually, but that's like a later.
That's
like
plan. I'll try and walk them through it. Right now they're in mine. I made a room just for them.
So yeah, we're on the Geek Fighters server on Discord. So that's where we're at.
Live on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Live from Saturday night. No, live from New York. It's live from Saturday night. It's New York. Wait a minute.
Yeah, but no, we're doing cool stuff. We got some really interesting topics today. Gotta tell you guys, it's exciting. First topic. First thing, I should have grabbed my thumbnails for this. Actually, I'm gonna do that right now. We got videos. We got video plans this week. Did you guys know I do videos? I don't know if you knew I did videos. What?
You have a YouTube channel with videos? You don't just put shorts?
What channel is this? What channel are we on again?
We're on the youtube.com/soundout12. I slightly changed plans. So if everyone's... by the way, welcome to everybody in the chat. Muteki T, Tim, SSJ4 Jason, and Jamie's World. So... I had announced prior I was going to do the Ultra Replica Darkwing this week, like specifically this week. That's no longer happening this week because last week was exhausting and I couldn't get it together for this week. So we get other things this week instead. So first things first, Wednesday you're getting this. This is called You Want That Darkwing Review Done? You get 2 interviews I did 9 years ago repackaged into a new video. There we go.
Hey, ties in with the current special.
Yep. So it'll be the first Soundout Power Playback episode, aka here's an old video you may not have seen that's brought back. But yeah, so Power Playback on Wednesday should be cool. We're gonna delete that, and then Friday I'm doing my first review of a Mezco 1/12 collective figure, and it's going to be Ultraman. As in, not the DC Ultraman, but like, Bokura no Ultraman.
No, you mean Superman of Earth 3.
Yeah, not Superman of Earth 3, but yeah, anyways, I can't point still. I'm still working that out, but you'll get to see Mezco Toys' Ultraman on Friday. And then next week will be all kinds of Orb Ring stuff. There'll be like 4 Orb Ring videos next week. If you want to know how it is, watch the video. But I will say that I go over kind of what Mezco is, how their style is, and then like the figure itself. And I say this because I filmed it this morning, so it's all fresh in my brain.
I just imagine the Darkwing is like a dreaded final boss and has to eventually have to fight, but he's too afraid to
pretty much
to confront it.
The way I've decided to do the videos is we're going to do one video it's Darkwing, one video it's the card set, the special set 2. One video that is every card infusion in the Orb Ring, and then one video that's every card infusion in the Dark Ring. and then hopefully there's not a set 3, so I have to do all that over again. But that's the plan.
I imagine there's totally a hidden 5th video because I imagine there's a lot of like voice clips in the Dark Ring.
Oh yeah. There's also the unlisted 5th video that'll be, with all the voice lines. So, Super Shaddix Boom, welcome to the chat. Smith the Crow, welcome to the chat. I don't have any thoughts on the Justice League Ruby crossover because I'm not planning to watch it because I know nothing about Ruby. But apparently Smith the Crow watched it with a group yesterday and thought it was terrible. It didn't look great.
That sounds right.
As someone who's a fan of the series, it doesn't look interesting to me at all. I'm still gonna watch it, but I was like, as a fan of both DC and Ruby, it just, nothing feels great about it.
I might be more interested in part 2 since apparently that takes place in the DC universe with the Ruby characters in it. But we'll see.
That definitely will explain some budgetary stuff I seen in the first part, maybe.
Yeah. Welcome to the chat. Silver Bricks and Common Jojo asks, do you like Combinator Kiva? I like the first 15 episodes of Kiva and everything from 32 to the end. And I don't like the rest of it.
Kiva is a series I need to go back and watch fully because it was my first Kamen Rider series I've ever seen and watch a little. But that's the thing, I only watch a little because like good old back in the day YouTube with 10-minute videos and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So like it was like the first Kamen Rider series I ever watched. I had a lot of nostalgia bias to it, but like I need to like actually fully sit down and watch all of it eventually.
I definitely I love the music of Kiva, the suit designs, and like the overall theme. It's just the love triangle middle that I don't like that much.
I mean, it fits with. I mean, it fits with the vampire theme.
It does. It fits with the vampire theme, but it's really poorly written love triangles.
Honestly, like I think what it is with Kiva, I wanted to do that aesthetic again, the whole universal monster, because I feel that that's such an underplay aspect of Kiva is the fact that
he teams up with the creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman. Yeah,
Wolfman. I mean, that's such a underplay. Like, I feel like if Kiva was made nowadays, those would have been secondary writers. I feel like it was made nowadays.
Oh, totally.
I mean,
they kind of act like secondary writers, even.
I mean, that was back when they have like it was pretty much the kite, like you saw like the Avid They're practically the Avid monsters.
They're the Imagine
for Kiva.
They're Imagine from Deno. Yeah.
Man, imagine Deno coming out now. They would have made all the Imagine their own separate writers instead of forms.
Yeah, from the get go, as opposed to it later in the movies. Hellfire Gaming. Welcome to the chat. Haven't watched crossover. I'm just happy to see the original Ruby designs in the Volume 409 animation engine. Well, that's cool. At least the movie's got that going for it.
I mean, as someone who's watched the recent volume, they use those designs in the recent season, so it's like it's smart reuse assets, kind of sort of thing. Wait, should we get to our first topic?
First topic: pimping my videos from last week.
Well, one did very well. One did
it. So the Power Rangers viewing guide, it is also titled shorthand "How to Watch Power Rangers," covering all the shows, movies, games, comics. I worked really, really hard on that. As Jerry knows, I was working on that thing until Oh God, how late?
It was like right before it actually went. Basically,
yeah, it was. I think I had it done
while I was streaming.
Yeah, no, I was working on it while you were streaming, and then I was working on it all the way up to like I think 3 a.m. It was only ready like 12 hours before it went live, which was barely enough time for it to process.
How much like pinboard like red yarn did you have to do to make sure the timeline's correct for the comics?
So I've been working on that comics timeline for like the last 5 years. So I've just been adding to it as time has gone on. So I didn't really have to do... The nice part is I didn't have to do too much research. It was just a lot of images. It's a lot of images. And then paring down my notes, because I have a document that's like, here's where all the one-shot stories take place from the annuals. And I was like, I can't go through all that. I need to pare it down to the main storylines. And that took a while to figure it out.
Are the hard books very similar to the IDW TMNT hard books? No, they're not in chronological.
They are
chronological order.
honestly, they deserve their own video because they confuse me sometimes. Essentially, when we're done with the deluxe hardcovers, I'm going to have issues 9 through 12 and 21 through 32 of Go-Go Power Rangers twice. It doesn't make any sense.
I'm honestly kind of scared eventually whenever they do a giant omnibus, because my god, that would be, how will they order that?
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to do something with the comics, specifically talking about the deluxe hardcovers and how I think they could have been structured a bit better, because they're not like the IDW hardcovers for Sonic or Turtles or Transformers, where it's like, here's everything in chronological order. They repeat a ton of stuff. Like, if you're just buying deluxe hardcovers, you get, and specifically Go-Go Power Rangers, for some reason, instead of Go-Go Power Rangers Deluxe being like 1 through 20 plus the 2 one-shots, like just being an extra thick volume, they include all the issues of Necessary Evil in the second volume, but you have 4 issues that aren't in the first volume that aren't in any other deluxe hardcover, but then all the Necessary Evil issues are in the Go-Go hardcovers and the Necessary Evil hardcovers. So it's a little repetitive.
It really is frustrating, because Go-Go is, as much as I'm kind of down the comics nowadays, I do want to try to get back into them. Go-Go is my favorite, still probably one of my favorite comic series of all time still. So like, I kind of frustrates me how really it is ordered, because like that's the book I always like. Yeah, like, that's easy to recommend because it turns out you want reading order,
the Go-Go deluxe hardcovers are the most, like, if you just want Go-Go, they're perfect. Like, you get all the issues, no problem. It's when you start mixing it with the Mighty Morphin stuff where you're like, wait, why do I have to buy this group of Necessary Evil tie-ins twice?
So there's no paperback?
There are paperbacks.
There is paperback, but I mean, also kind of
like the hardcovers are far from being omnibuses, basically.
Here, what was it? What was the Shattered Grid? That was a mess in terms of paperback, right?
Yeah, the Shattered Grid, like the titled Shattered Grid paperback, is missing the 2018 annual. It's in another paperback, and then the Shattered Grid volumes of Mighty Morphin are missing the free Comic Book Day special, which is the only other place you can get that is the deluxe hardcover. But then the deluxe Shattered Grid has everything, and is the only way you should buy it. If I'm being honest.
It's frustrating because not everybody can get those deluxe, because not only they get out of print a lot of
times,
expensive. They're not like they're out of print.
They're $75.
They're expensive and they're get out of print. So it's like that's why the paperback is important, because those are like I can't. It's one of the things where it's like I'll never say don't pick up omnibus first. Pick up like the first paperback to see you really want to get omnibus.
Yep.
That's what I agree with that.
Before we get to the next,
before we get too far ahead, I did notice
Logic Blaster.
Yeah. Welcome to the chat, Logic Blaster. Thank you for enjoying the Star Trek videos. I guess we should read the whole comment, so that way if people are just listening, they know what they're. I gotta stop reading the comment and then responding with that.
Yeah, I'll read it. Logic Blaster. Sound out. I enjoy all your Star Trek videos. I pick up the newest Playmates, Enterprise, and Phaser. Looking forward to unbox them soon.
That Enterprise is more fun than I thought it was going to be, and I hope you enjoy it, because I
Chris,
like it.
we have not talked about the Hasbro and Mattel yet. We're getting to that.
We'll be getting to that soon.
Chris wants to know for the last thing about the booth stuff. Did we ever get a definitive list of what's included in the Kickstarter from the was it the Lost Chronicle? What's that Kickstarter? The Lost
I can go over that right now. So the Kickstarter has these 3 new deluxe hardcovers, being Archive Book 1, Archive Book 2, and Lost Chronicles, and they finally explained what was in them in a more concise manner on the page. Let me just get down to it. Assuming everyone can see this. Yeah, there we go.
Comment, why are comics more expensive than manga? Inking, color, like manga doesn't worry about like color pages.
2 things: color, health insurance.
Yep.
Because because comics are usually published in the U.S., they have to pay the health benefits for their for writers and artists. That's a big chunk of the price. But where was it in this, or am I forgetting? And is it actually? I think actually this was. Oh yeah, it's right. It's in the FAQ. I forgot now. Because people kept asking what's in these books. Let's see, what content is collected in the 3 new hardcovers. So Archive Book 1 is essentially just the original paperback Archive Book 1 with all the old comics. For this one was all the Marvel comics, and then Archive Book 2 is all the other comics like Image and Paper Cuts and Valiant, like all the other random stuff. And then the Lost Chronicles is going to be Soul of the Dragon, Sins of the Future, Psychopath, Aftershock, and the Artist Tribute. So all the one-shots plus the Artist Tribute book.
Still one of my favorite books from
Yep.
Boom.
That'll be nice to have in the same hardcover.
It has no story. There's some great artworks in there.
Yeah. And Chris, I don't know if they corrected the out of order story from Volume 2. I would hope so, since this is a new printing. But we'll have to see when it comes out or when people get Kickstarter.
Santa Crow asks, are prices lower for indie comics that are black and white? I'm pretty sure they are, right?
Yeah, usually. It depends on the publisher. Like, for example, with Image, like, I haven't seen an Image book be more than $3.99 unless it had extra pages, whereas I see a normal price DC book go for $4.99. But Todd McFarlane has all the Spawn comics set at $2.99, like a hard $2.99 for all 4 books.
Because Todd is this like weird alien person that doesn't like go with the flow.
He doesn't follow the rules. He's
he
like
does his own thing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He does his own thing, and his thing was, if I make every Spawn comic $2.99, how many people are going to buy all 4? And the answer is, I bought all 4. I wouldn't be reading like 2 of them if they were $3.99 a piece, but because they're $2.99, I'm like, okay.
I don't think that they have the Mask Rider Marvel comic because
I don't think there was. There was a Mask Rider comic in the Saban Powerhouse comic, which the Power Rangers part of that is in. Here's the Saban Powerhouse by Acclaim, published by Valiant, and it had like a Power Rangers Turbo story. And then they had backup stories with Samurai Pizza Cats, and then they had Masked Rider in here. Like a super heavy ink art style. But apparently, Chris does say there was a Masked Rider Marvel comic. So
I know. I don't think
I believe it.
The Kickstarter doesn't. I don't think it's gonna include the Beetleborgs crossover.
No, it doesn't include the Beetleborgs crossover. The original paperbacks only included the Power Rangers stuff. Acclaim. Yeah.
It was indeed the same Acclaim. There was
Okay, Acclaim did more stuff outside video games, like LG. Like it's like the same way LGN.
There's LGN. They made toys.
Yep. So
Acclaim has a novelty. I'll write about it. Iron Man Exo Man of War. Yes, Exo Man of War from Valiant. Iron Man had a game, and it sucked. But I had it. Novelty though. You should buy it just for a novelty.
Yeah.
All right, I guess backtracking. Speaking of Star Trek.
Speaking of Star Trek toys, everyone that's watching, if you could go watch the Prodigy video again. The
show's good. People like
the show's good. The toys are great. We've only hit 246 views. Hello, Comment Rider 64. We've only hit 246 views in 2 days. It's almost been 3 days. I did not do well. I think. Hey, Spin Dash. I think the steam has kind of died. Like the enthusiasm for the new Playmate Star Trek line is kind of dead.
Because it's so slow.
So unbelievably slow. So I think this is an effect of that. Little less. The effect of the figures aren't good and no one cares. I think it's just people are so tired because I don't even think people realize they're out because of how long it's taken.
Because it's such a go-to target. There's such a small, they're like a small corner.
They're not. Yeah, they're in the collectibles section. They're not even getting shelf space.
And even then, there's such a little tiny blink from the collector section. You get the big NECA boxes or a lot of the Bandai stuff there, but they're such a small bit that I always have people just don't notice them since they're kind of buried.
And there's not that many of them. We have 12 figures, and they've been out for a half a year at this point. But answering Kentucky T's question, I loved the Picard finale. For the series.
Is that the series finale?
That was the series finale. They managed. I hate Star Trek Nemesis as a movie. I'm just going to turn the screen off because what's the point? I don't like Star Trek Nemesis.
Was that the last classic timeline movie, or was that like the
Yeah, that was the last Prime Timeline movie, and it's the last time they had the entire TNG cast together, and it was a terrible, terrible ending and a terrible, terrible movie made by awful people.
Yeah, because I know that's the one that people like really
Yeah.
don't like.
I despise Nemesis because it was the last time they were all together. Nemesis is so bad, I wish they would have just ended TNG with the series and not even made the movies, even though I love First Contact. Nemesis was a horrible ending where the show had a really good ending. So now, 3 seasons of Picard later, I feel completely satisfied with the new ending we got. And now I don't hate Nemesis as much, even though it's still a piece of crap. So,
Is there canon? I'm assuming.
Nemesis is definitely still canon because too much important stuff happens in that to be ignored.
All right.
But Picard didn't ignore it. They made everything work.
I always prefer when just because the media is bad doesn't mean you should not retcon it out of existence. You just work.
They worked with it to make it. They took the things that Nemesis did and then they didn't undo them, but they found ways to give us a more satisfying conclusion to them.
People read Jeremy Adams' Flash. It's ending soon, but read it. It's good.
Jeremy Adams' Flash is the same way, where it's like, these things happen, but we're going to give you a better ending to them. Speaking of comics, if y'all hadn't checked out my new short, which I put up on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, Who is No One, because the good people at the Massiveverse, I got an email from Kyle Higgins saying, hey, we're sending you a box of comics for No One to promote on your social media, because they are trying to get the word out. So I made a cool little YouTube short for it. I got some decent views here. Got a lot of great views on Twitter and TikTok. So if you guys haven't checked it out, I put that together in about 2 hours. But I thought it turned out really good.
I definitely want to get. I really do want to get both the issue, but just get into the Massiveverse in general.
Mhm.
Just my local comic shop gets their indie stuff much later than usual, so as long as I hope they have it, it's the sort of thing for my end.
Let's see. Smith the Crow. She asked, were DS9 or Voyager movies ever considered? There was a talk that if they did another TNG movie, they would have brought in DS9 and Voyager characters into it, since all those shows had wrapped at that point. But there wasn't, because Nemesis sucked and it bombed and kind of killed everything.
How they? Because I don't, because I'm a very casual Trek fan. Like, do they ever do modern stuff with the DS9 and Voyager crews and like all the modern stuff?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
Prodigy, of course, has Janeway as a main character. Not just hologram Janeway, but like legit Janeway's in it. And they brought back Chakotay, getting representation for things, because a lot of there's a couple actors that have died. The Captain Sisko's actor doesn't seem to be doing any work anymore. But they wrapped a lot of DS9 storylines into Picard season 3. And Kira and Quark showed up on Lower Decks, so they're starting to show up.
That's great. That's great because I'm glad they didn't go like a lot of other stuff go where it's like, oh, they're not the well remember series, so we don't mention them as much.
Yeah, and then also Seven of Nine has been a main character on Picard since season 1. So
it's great. It's great to hear that. Yeah, they keep those. Those are still like still continued.
There was a moment in season 3 of Picard. They visit the Fleet Museum and they had the Defiant and the Voyager there, and it like they gave them like the beauty shots and then played the themes from the shows over them. So
cool.
Yeah, it was really that's the kind of little touches they added to Picard season 3 that made it feel special. But anyways, before moving on, he says, "What about Dragon Ball GT?" That just became straight up alternate universe.
Alternate universe, yeah.
Because Toriyama wasn't involved.
That is a different continuity.
Yep. Chris, Nemesis is on par with Rise of Skywalker, but I can still watch Rise of Skywalker without being completely infuriated because at least it's an ending.
Skywalker, I could turn off my brain.
I can tolerate Rise of Skywalker, but Nemesis bugs me because I just don't like Nemesis. LPH, you bring up a good point. Marvel should do that for Spider-Man. Just take some of their bad stuff and write a good story.
Star Trek and Janeway. All that I'm gonna find a gift for y'all while y'all talk.
Cool.
Oh yeah, just bring back Paul as the true Spider-Man villain.
Yeah. Common Jojo, when you make a Captain X comic, I'll send you a free copy to review. Yeah. I will always love to review and talk about comics. Comics are great. Logic Blaster loves DS9. I love DS9. I go flip flopping like what my favorite Trek show is, and I flip flop between DS9 and Voyager the most. I think sometimes Voyager didn't execute its premise as well, but I love the characters too much. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's always a toss up between those two. Muteki T, how many windows does the Enterprise have? Like hundreds, maybe 1,000 windows. There's a lot of people on ships.
Should we get to our first topic?
Minor PSA: if you're wanting to see Shin Kamen Rider Wednesday, May 31st at 7 p.m. local time, tickets are starting to show up. You don't have to know where my location is because this is not my zip code. But you can see that you can go on Fandango, search up Shin Kamen Rider. I will hopefully get to see it, but I don't know.
No, it's not for people curious. There is only sub. No,
it's sub only. Yeah, no dub. That's why we're probably getting it quicker than Shin Ultraman.
Who's who's distributing it, or is it just
no idea? It's just a Fathom event, so maybe just Toei directly. We'll see what happens. But let's get to our first news topic, everybody. Hasbro and Mattel inked a licensing deal. Which I instantly saw people just throwing out crazy ideas.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is gonna be like such a major like, oh my god, like think about like He-Man and Classified. No, I don't think it's gonna be super big.
This literally says beginning this fall. Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
Also, what it does make me think of is the Mattel and Mars Bar Chocobot out.
Yes, exactly. So anyways, beginning this fall, Hasbro will offer Barbie-branded Monopoly, while Mattel will introduce Transformers-branded Uno. Then in early 2024, Mattel will unveil a line of Transformers-branded Hot Wheels vehicles.
Remember those Transformers RPMs during Revenge of the Fallen?
Yeah, it's like that, but
without the robot underneath.
Yeah, and I think too, this could open up a door for there to be more crossover potential. This could open up the door for just future licensing. Like, are we going to get a He-Man Transformer? Maybe the door is now open. Spit the Crow brings a good point. Makes me think of Bandai Japan and Takara Tomy. Yes, they signed a deal where like Bandai's making a Chogokin Zoid and Tomy's making like a die-cast Gundam vehicles or something like that.
It was for their Tomoka Hero.
Yeah, the Tomoka Hero line. Yeah, so that's going to be kind of wild. But this is essentially like that. But the thing is, when I see two big toy companies that have been bitter rivals for like decades sign a deal, it reminds me of when DC and Marvel were both doing really poorly in the early 2000s and made Justice League Avengers.
George Perez like, come on, you two.
Yeah, George Perez and Kurt Busiek were like, we're going to make a crossover comic. And both companies were desperate enough at the time to do that.
I don't know what,
yeah.
I just think whenever I see stuff like this, I just think of the gif of SpongeBob and Squidward all tired, shaking hands, like nervous. It's like we'll do a deal. We're not gonna trust each other in 3 months.
Yep. And so the thing is that they're doing this announcement ahead of the Q1 earnings reports, which is good timing. And apparently this was done. There was a behind closed doors sneak preview at a toy show earlier this year in Europe. So this has been in the works for a while. They cited doing it because both Hasbro and Mattel have movies coming out this summer with Transformers: Rise of the Beasts and Barbie. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Chris, I would love to see Imaginext Power Rangers come back. That line was too good.
That line was so good. Hasbro killed it. Made their own line that they didn't even bother releasing in stores, and then
died, and then just poof, vanish.
Hot take: I liked Hasbro's idea for those preschool Power Rangers toys because they actually used all the seasons instead. Because
there's some I think
Imaginext was only given the license for Mighty Morphin, mind you, but Hasbro at least tried.
I think some people didn't understand what they were doing with the preschool Power Ranger stuff. Some people were like, "Why does everyone have Power Morpher like buckles on their wrist?"
Well, the problem I kept seeing was that I'd find the blind bag figures in stores, but never the vehicles.
And they were separate. But it was weirder. It's like for one with the whole like them like being kind of unified inside. It's just to show they're all not so they 100% accurate. They're all like meant for kids. They're little kids. It's all kind of meant to be showcased. They're all one line. But one thing I don't get is they made the blind bag figures separate sculpts. Like they're not even like the same.
Yeah, they're not the same kind of. Yeah, and so they don't match up
for some reason. For some reason.
I mean, so basically, what we're saying is that Hasbro's had inconsistent Power Rangers teams since the beginning.
So that's the start.
Welcome to the chat, Matthews, Laura, and Infinite in 1985. So I don't really have too much else to think about this besides I've got to tell my mom no more Monopoly games in the house, even if it's Barbie.
I already have too much.
Yeah, I got 25.
How dangerous is Monopoly? How dangerous
Yeah.
are Monopoly nights for you guys as families?
Oh God,
Dude, like the first hour of a Monopoly night is deciding which one we're playing.
I'll say don't never try to do Uno matches. Those go end up becoming you know how people call Mario Party the friendship killer game? That's Uno. No, that's Uno. That's the friendship killer game right there.
Andreas says crossover between G.I. Joe and Motu. How about Scarlet or Baroness in He-Man's costume? That's there's a possibility.
I think that's happening.
well,
I don't know. You know what? Someone's gonna make it.
I kind of wish.
I'll draw it for you if you pay me.
I mean, I kind of wish Mattel.
Jerry will draw it for you if you pay him.
I kind of wish we got McFarlane's team at Mattel so we could bring back the He-Man and DC crossover stuff back.
That'd be cool. Common Jojo asks, would you guys like to see Superhero Squad toys return? They kind of did. The Spidey and His Amazing Friends toys remind me of the Superhero Squads a lot.
Well, the Fisher Price Marvel stuff. Oh, not the Fisher. The Play School Marvel stuff. The Marvel Superhero Vendor. They're practically the Superhero Squad, but they're not the same because I never because Superhero Squad. Well, just all the hero blank figures were never really aimed for preschoolers. They're just like cute, like little cutesy collectible minifigures. That's the reason why so many companies like Mattel and such copy them. And Bandai even with Mighty Morphin 2010. It was just like it was just kind of a fad. I would like those to come back because they were like nice little desk figures.
Yeah.
But I think most of the time we're just gonna get those preschool. I mean, there's a reason why people collect the Imaginext DC stuff. Some of the best DC toys.
It is the best DC toy line in terms of character selection since Classics ended.
Okay, Infinite. We're gonna talk about that topic we'll
talk about the remastered figures next. Actually, that's the next topic. Okay, so Smith the Crow asked DS Star Wars Monopoly. The question is, how many Star Wars Monopolies do I have? I've got the Saga edition from 2005, which is the coolest Star Wars Monopoly because all the pieces are like this big. They're huge. I love them.
And there's no dimple, so it's already better.
Yeah, and that covered the first 6 movies. And then I have a Clone Wars Monopoly, which covers the first season of Clone Wars basically. And then I have I think it was Solo. I think they did one for Solo. They did the Solo movie got a Monopoly.
I never had any Monopolies, but I remember playing Monopoly with friends. I remember playing the Transformers Monopoly.
I have that one too.
I remember playing that.
I don't have Power Rangers Monopoly because they made 2 printing errors.
Oh, what was printing errors?
They mislabeled 2 of the vehicles that replaced the trains.
Whoops.
Yep. Okay, let's see. We need a Mortal Kombat Monopoly, says this is J4 Jason. We do, because that way violence can break out in real
True
life.
Hellfire
and
Gaming.
To the thing.
True Hellfire Gaming. Do you have an @, for the Ultraman Toyline Twitter? I need to make sure that's like a official.
There's an
Twitter.
Oh, that'd be. Oh, yeah.
You can put at least the @, like the @.
Or just DM me the @ either or.
Yeah, either or. Yeah, so we can see this.
Collectibles if they weren't so expensive.
I saw that.
I would love to collect the certain collectibles so they weren't so expensive. I think the only exception would be the Guilty Gear stuff because that's gonna be the only Guilty Gear figures out there.
Yep.
Have you got?
Oh, Logic Blaster is a great idea. G.I. Joe vehicles done in the Hot Wheels line. Yes.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
That would be fantastic.
Hellfire Gaming send you a DM.
Yep. Checking it right now. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah, that's
keep on the screen.
Yeah, @Bandai _Ultra Toy.
Oh, nice. Put that on the screen so people can see it.
Yeah, I was just trying to find the button for share. Now I'm just gonna airdrop. Here it is. So if anyone's looking for the Ultraman official toy Twitter, it exists now, which means it has its own page, and it's got pictures of Blazar toys we'll talk about in a bit.
Yes,
That's awesome.
Good eye for that.
Okay, that was good. Now I put that on my following list so I can keep track of them.
Bandai. What now?
Okay, so last couple things in the chat before we go to the next.
Comment Jojo. Do you guys remember the original Mighty Mugs? Yeah, I remember. Yep. I remember those were the very original Funko Pops.
I still have a bunch of them.
Pops were...
Basically.
I still have the Marvel. Like I have a Dr. Doom one, hanging around.
I remember my favorite like Mighty Mugs were always like the unique ones, like the Iron Man. Like, I think it was the Comic Con exclusive Iron Man one where you actually put down the visor.
Oh yeah, that was cool. I have a Ghost Rider.
Yeah, I remember those. I actually really like the Mighty Mugs, even though like, I mean, they're more lazier than Funko Pops.
They scratch super easy.
They're like hollow because they're just hollow plastic with paint on them.
Yep. Infinite. I did see the D's epic return to Star Trek. I cried many times. I cried. Last week was actually emotionally exhausting for me between Mandalorian's finale, Power Rangers Once and Always, and Picard's finale. Like within the same 48 hours, on Friday I was just drained. I was like, I cannot emotion anymore.
Was Mighty Mugs popular? They were not as big as Funkos are, but like they were definitely.
They made a good like 100 of them. There's at least 100 of them.
They were definitely a fad, and then Hasbro tried multiple times to bring them back, but they just didn't captured what people like about Mighty Mugs. But I think also the fact that they're now in a much more competitive market with the Funko Pops and such.
Are you ready to talk about controversial Power Rangers figures? Because I'm ready to talk about them.
Don't we talk about that every week?
It's true. I think Hellfire DM'd me earlier and was like, 0 days since last Lightning Collection incident.
I love that meme.
So, we had talked about these last week. And, God, I'm tired. I'm tired of this line. So, the thing is, like, I will be honest, I have ordered this figure that's sold out, okay? So if anyone wants to get mad at me for going like, oh, you complain about him but still buy him. Yeah. Because I knew he'd sell out. The thing is...
So the recap, so people are out who don't know about the controversy. So the controversy is...
Let me go through it real quick. Let me go with... At the stream last week, they showed Mighty Morphin Red with the Dragon Shield. And they showed Mighty Morphin Green without it. And I think all of us assumed the shield was coming with green and it could be swapped over to red. And they were showing that on the table, right? No, that's not what they're doing.
Really? Honestly, I was the only one that thought that green was gonna be shieldless. I think I want to keep it.
You're the only one I saw that went, what if that is what they're doing?
because they would not showcase the figures like that if like they would not. I think for me, the reason why I thought
here's the problem
is because usually when they review figures, they usually review the figures out like what you get out of the box and then showcase a special gimmick,
right?
What they can do. So that's why I knew
that was like, that. You're on point. You know what the problem is? How Hasbro tried to hide this.
I think the biggest hide is from IC is the no Jason Head because they have no comp.
Let's talk about that. Comment. It took us 2 days to get the image that shows all the accessories because they didn't show us the boxes on the stream.
Yeah, because since the pre-orders didn't come all at once, which I think is a good thing. There's a
So the thing. No, here's the thing. These pre-orders went up Wednesday, and we didn't get this image of all the accessories until Friday.
Oh, Friday.
Yep.
Okay, because I know about pre-orders were on Wednesday, but it's interesting we didn't get all the photos.
By the way, everyone ignore the red neck on Jason because every other photo shows a white neck.
That's a
that's a render
CG
error.
Render. Yeah, render error.
All right, so the first problem is so red does not come with a Jason head, and I'm not going to sit here and speculate as to why. Because I have 2 theories and it'll incriminate too many people, so I'm not going to say them.
I think we can definitely theorize about the whole legal stuff, but
we could theorize about it, but we're not going to.
I think what it is,
we don't want to go down this rabbit hole because I have too many ideas.
I think if we don't want to go that route, I think the biggest thing is budget. I think they just could not fit ahead with everything Jason includes.
Which sucks because it's a $33.99 figure.
I mean, he comes with a lot already, but like still, it's one of those things you couldn't fit one extra head if it was a budgetary thing.
Yep. So he comes with the shield and the band. So if you're wanting a shield to put on your Pink Ranger or your SPD Green, like me, I ordered green. I ordered the remaster green because I was out at the time. I was out buying Guardians of the Galaxy figures. I'm going to be honest. I was off buying full price Marvel Legends like an idiot. But
I think there's also kind of a
well, anyways, let me finish my story a little bit. So I was out, and then the pre-orders went up, and I was like, okay, order green. I need the shield. I don't care about the remaster figures that much. I just want the shield. Boom, green shield. And so then I went home, and then I was like checking my order and like updating my spreadsheet, and then I looked and I was like, wait a minute.
Wait.
Red has the shield, so I canceled green and went and you can still order pink on Pulse. I went and ordered this because I just want the shield. I don't care about the figures. I'm not rebuying the team. I don't even care about the helmets at this point because I'm once again just tired of the line. But I wanted that shield because I love that you can put it on other figures. So I really wanted it, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna order just one. And yeah, so the thing is, he comes with the shield, and if we go look at the contents of green, he comes with the green candle, he comes with the unmasked, he's got the dragon dagger. So this figure isn't an armored red, this figure is a shieldless green, but this figure comes with the Blade Blaster in 2 forms, even though he only needs the dagger form from the time he stole a Blade Blaster. And his holster is a black repaint of the normal holster, not the actual Dragon Dagger holster. So
here's the armor red's not even accurate because it's telling the Dragon Shield red.
This is gung ho red and green.
Yeah, because
when they swapped powers for a minute.
Yeah, because like Dragon Shield red has the dragon coin, right? He has the dragon coin in the holster for the dagger, right?
No, Dragon Shield red has the Tyranno coin.
No, I'm talking about this.
For Armored Red, he should have the Dragon Coin in the Silver Morpher with both holsters, Blade Blaster and Dragon
Dagger. So yeah, that's telling the proper Armor Red design. I think that's a tiny detail that some people might miss, but that is telling there is a difference between when Red just uses because in my Morphin, I think Zoo Ranger was that Zoo 2 footage? I don't remember. Was that?
All right. Well, let me bring to you this point. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's accurate to Gung Ho, where he temporarily gave him the shield." No, it's not, because that means green should come with the armbands. Because green still was wearing the armbands.
Yeah, because was Gung Ho Zoo 2 or was that Zoo Ranger?
I'm not the person to ask.
But like, still, like, there's a difference between green giving other people the shield to use as just a temporary power up, like he did with Zack in
when he transfers the armbands, they should get the Dragon Dagger and the extra holster.
Because that's like a complete form, I guess you can call it, where the shield's just a temporary power up.
And Smith the Crow's 100% right. This should have been a 2-pack.
Yeah,
this seems like a 2-pack of instead of 2 releases, like a 2-pack that got split, and it doesn't.
Yeah, because I said that last week during Wednesday stream, where this is really, I think all the controversy would have been as loud if this was a 2-pack, because you need to practically buy both to get the complete package.
Exactly. And I mean, here's the thing: in Hasbro's marketing defense, a lot of people are going to buy both. It's the 2 most popular Rangers of the team.
Wait, does Armor Red come? No, he doesn't come with the Dragon Dagger.
No, he doesn't. So the thing is that if you buy both, there's not a problem. The problem is that if there's a lot of people that didn't get green, and we're going to get the reissue of green, and then they canceled the reissue because we're getting remastered, but now you have to buy 2 figures.
And also, and there's also the whole problem of, because this goes into the issue of,
and then also the price.
We get the price and the issue of
and green without the
buy the older, more hard to find Lightning Green with the accurate holster. They want like the kick bash the 2 together get the perfect green. Then, but there's also the whole no Jason head. So people need to buy the older MMPR red figure to get a Jason head because, well, I think this is a retail. The only Jason head was the original Mighty Morphin Red release. Was
yeah,
it?
the only Jason head we had was that Mighty Morphin release. Yeah, because the other 2 Jason heads were part of the Comic-Con set. And when they re-released Gold, they did Trey.
Trey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, my thing is
So
that.
What's up with this holster?
Say again, Cass?
Go for it.
So what's up with this holster?
It's inaccurate because
it's
the
supposed
Dragon
to be
Dagger holster.
It's supposed to be a sheath for a dagger,
pointed.
not a Blade Blaster holster painted black.
Yeah, because the Dragon Dagger holster is a lot more pointed, not like curved and rounded.
To hold a knife instead of a gun.
Yep.
Commentary, we don't fully know that Wild Force Red got canceled. I say this got like pushed back.
I think it got pushed back because they wanted to make the Wave Minotaur and Rita, so that way it could tie into the thing. Oh, Smith the Crow brings a good point. Why doesn't Comic come with the Sword of Darkness?
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Still,
like this stick mode Blade Blaster shouldn't be here. Yeah, the dagger makes sense because the sword form he used.
He even has the candle.
Yeah, he's got the green candle, but where's the Sword of Darkness?
Yeah,
because like even you go by because it's not Evil Tommy, it's still like you should include it because that's the whole idea remastered.
If this was a green candle, if this was a green candle 2-pack, this would be a different story.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem is that they are split, and they are in this line that's higher priced. It's higher priced, it's remastered, and yet I feel like it's worse than the originals.
It's supposed to be these are supposed to be the definitive figures.
This was supposed to be we're doing it a second time, and we're doing it better than we did before. Where I feel like you have to own all 4 releases to really get everything you need.
I mean, and I think you can kind of tell. I noticed something. I noticed also because you notice the artworks on the packaging. Because those artworks were leaked on the Amazon Power Ranger page a while ago, and Green had the shield in that artwork, and it looks like on the box they hastily photoshopped the shield out.
Yeah, we haven't seen Red's box. There's no picture of Red's box, but I imagine they probably just photoshopped the shield onto him because his art didn't have the shield.
Zelcheks. Like I understand you're not.
See the thing. That's the thing. This is I'm gonna put my foot down because this happens in every collecting fandom. Just because you've been collecting it doesn't mean they should skip it in the future. Because the thing is, for a lot of people, they're coming off of Once and Always wanting Mighty Morphin figures, and these are the ones that are available, not the older ones. The problem is, I think that it's a disservice to anybody that hasn't been collecting the line.
Essentially, since it's all one line, like all of it's on Mighty Morphin, so all the casual fans go like, "Oh man, new Mighty!" Like people who don't like pay attention to like the action figure sphere, they just go walk in the store, go like, "Oh, cool, new Mighty Morphin Power Ranger figures. Let me pick them up." Blah blah blah. Like it's that whole thing.
Okay, Big Bad Toy Store has the box art, so let's look at that real quick. Yeah, the box art here definitely looks like they photoshopped the dragon shield onto it, because I know we saw that artwork before and he didn't have the shield.
And again, like as I just want to say, because I've seen people also posting, is like just because like again, I know people have gotten the Sword of Darkness from the previous other 2 Tommy
the Sword of Darkness is the same thing as the Quasar Saber. It requires no new budget. You just have to print it and add it to the box.
Mm-hmm.
It's already molded. It already, it's already been molded. That you don't have to create a tool. You just include it, and that's I think the problem I have is I don't know why he comes with the Screen Ranger comes with the stick, the holstered version of the Blade Blaster. Cut that, put the Sword of Darkness instead. That's what I think.
Zelchek, I understand that not every MMPR Green release needs to have the Sword of Darkness, but this is again the purpose of the remaster.
For $34, it should have every accessory it could.
The purpose of the remaster figures are the definitive figures.
I just realized something.
Rangers.
We are a little bit wrong about one thing.
What?
The Sword of Darkness would need a new tool, because I just remembered, because they were dumb and switched factories a year ago, the Sword of Darkness tool isn't at the new factory.
Really?
They would, because they've moved from China to Vietnam. None of those molds carried over. Because even the pinned bodies we got are not the same molds as the ones from China.
Huh. I mean, I guess that makes sense. But
which also really explains why we don't have the proper holster here, because I forgot, because they're doing these. They should have done them in China, because they could have reused parts more. But maybe that's
Hasbro,
maybe that's the
Hasbro
reason why
fully
for all
hasn't-
this. Yeah,
Hasbro hasn't fully moved to China or Vietnam, right? There's still some China factories
no, like
there,
most
right?
like Marvel, most Star Wars, all that other stuff. Yeah, that because the thing is Power Rangers, a lot of like Transformers is in Vietnam now, and they don't use those old molds from China anymore. Retro Collection, Indie, Retro Collection, Star Wars, Adventure Indie, all started in Vietnam. Power Rangers is the only one to move from one to the other.
Yeah.
And I don't know what is up with the accessories, because sometimes they are the same and sometimes they aren't, but I'm wondering if it's starting to hit me now that there is a possibility that some of these accessories that we could just go, let's throw them in the box, you can't because the mold's not there.
Cycle has mentioned something. Apparently, Beast Warrior's yellow sword and SP yellows, like everything are the same. It's
Yeah,
like
and Invisible Phantom. That's where I'm not exactly sure what's going on, because I have never heard of a factory willing to ship, or a company willing to ship a tool, because that is like a giant steel metal box that is prohibitively expensive
When you
to
say
move.
tool, you don't just mean like a wrench.
Right. Yeah, we're talking like a giant steel box.
The cast iron, like the whole cast mold.
And Zeltrax, to counter it has a holstered Blade Blaster because he had in Return of the Old Friend 2-parter. He also had a white holster there too. So it's
not even that accurate.
that's where I can't. It's not winning for me. But yeah, the holster is on the wrong side, isn't it?
Is it?
Because isn't the Dragon Dagger holster always on the opposite hip, or is it? I can't remember because of how many artists have done it wrong.
I'm double checking.
No, it is on the same side. It's just only on the other side if it's armored.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's supposed to look like a dagger sheath. That adds a wrinkle to my complaints here, if this is true. And the problem is we'll never know, for sure. But I wonder if maybe sometimes they produce the Return of an Old Friend Tommy. Let's do that. Return of an Old Friend Part 2. Because I can't click the correct thing. I just was thinking that maybe some of the accessories are produced in China.
Are inconsistent in terms of the US footage, but Sentai footage always consistent.
Here we go. Return of an Old Friend. Yeah, it was a white holster on the opposite side. So yeah, it doesn't work for being
I can't wait. A genius idea. They're gonna do a separate release of a more accurate telling, but it comes with a cloth shield, like not even like a plastic shield made out like.
That's the thing. If they're gonna do this, they should do a cloth shield.
Like that's something, fully cloth, not like something a plastic mold that looks like cloth, no, actual cloth shield.
Anyways, we're splitting hairs at this point.
Or or do you just do that, or they do another version of the Fighting Spirit green again.
But again, that mold is probably not in Vietnam. Thing I need to do is maybe this is what like the focus of this year's rundown will be, is figuring out what was produced in China, what was produced in Vietnam, and if anything has been reused. Because I think there's some stuff that is really close, but is different still.
Do they label do they label made in Vietnam on the figures? Like,
yes, they do.
So I guess that's the big thing.
Yep.
You just need to look.
Because the thing is, I when I was doing all the stuff for the Wave 12 figures I got that were defects and stuff, I was noticing all of those were Vietnam. But I'm looking at them like they're like the pinned bodies. Like green, like Lost Galaxy Green looks like blue, but they're made in 2 different factories.
You need to ask Josh about this.
Yeah, it's something I should be like, hey Josh, do you want to work on a project where we decide where stuff was produced and see if things are being reused or if they're just making close. Because like the Quasar Saber, I mean that's the thing, is that the Quasar Saber looks exact same, but I'm wondering what the heck's going on.
I like a comment Cycle has made. Nobody wants an error that actually happened in 92.
Yeah.
That would mean Hasbro had to make 8 different versions of TFs.
Hey!
TF G1, cause scale and color errors and everything.
Exactly. Very good point. All right. Q&A time. Let's see. Do you want an accurate Green Ranger? All right. That's the Q&A section, not the poll. I get those mixed up. we're gonna do a poll. Do you want an accurate Green Ranger? Yes. Shield, dagger, the works. No. All right, let's put this as: do you wish this was an accurate Green Ranger? Let's go with that. Do you wish this was an accurate? Do you wish the remaster was an accurate Green Ranger? Yes. Shield, dagger, the works. No. I want a variant of the suit from the show. Let's just put a variant of the suit because can't put in the show. Yes. Even though I won't buy it, because there's a bunch of us that probably won't. And no, or I'll just put down, I don't care. All right, there's our poll. I just go read all the answers, decide which one fits you the best.
Zellshock's Super 7 doesn't have worse quality than Hasbro. They have the same quality. It's called factory. It is called factory error. Here's
the difference. Super 7's QC is mass production QC problems. This happens to every smaller line.
Single toy.
We see it more with Super 7 than we do Hasbro because a higher percentage of a Super 7 production run is in the hands of people who post pictures online. Hasbro produces thousands more Lightning Collection figures than we will ever see in-hand samples of, which is why when we see so many problems and missing accessories, that's alarming because the online populace should not be getting a majority bad figures. That means the whole batch is pretty much wrecked. So the thing is that with Super 7, with Super 7, with NECA, with not even necessarily McFarlane. Because McFarlane does go on a higher price. Super 7 and NECA are very similar in a lot of ways. We see more QC problems because we see more of the batch online. But they're about the same because every factory, every figure line has these same QC problems. It's starting to even hit Figuarts at this point. It's just becoming an ongoing issue. The thing that is different about Hasbro versus Super 7 is Super 7's design and choices are intentional, planned out, and researched. Hasbro's aren't, like, plain and simple.
They're also a lot more open about their QC issues and everything.
Right, because Super 7's a smaller company. The thing is when we look at the Green Ranger and you see the inaccurate holster here, if Super 7 made this and had the white holster on the opposite side and a cloth shield, they'd be like, this is from Return of Green Ranger Part 2 specifically. Go buy it at Comic-Con. Whereas Hasbro puts this holster here and will never acknowledge the fact they put the wrong holster in. And that is the difference, is that Hasbro doesn't take the extra time that Super 7 does in design. So regardless how the final product turns out QC-wise, or if you even like that style, Super 7 does have an edge in their design is intentional, researched, and the people... Because, like, I know the lead designer, because I interviewed him, he watches episodes over and over and over again to make sure he can get every single detail correct when designing the figure. And regardless of how the final product may turn out, some people don't like them because of the articulation, style, whatever. The actual design is solid. It's the manufacturing side where things get kind of screwy. And so with Hasbro, we have this double issue of the manufacturing side is screwy, and then also the initial design is flawed. Because what we're looking at with this digital render is the initial design. They put that Green Ranger holster on there and thought we wouldn't notice. There's no other explanation. It can't be a mistake. They've made 4 Green Rangers already, or 3 of them. They've actually not done as many Green Rangers as we thought. They did it because they didn't want to cast a new mold for that holster. That is it. It's a budget thing. And when the budget thing coming down to a figure that's $33.99, it sucks. It doesn't feel good because you're spending extra and getting a weaker experience. I would have said, don't do the green candle, do a Sword of Darkness and a correct holster. That's just me, though. And that's the decisions that come up.
Can I believe shouldn't the green candle come with Rita, like technicality?
Yeah, the green candle wasn't even in the possession of Tommy.
That is true.
Yeah, and so the thing is, I think that, Psycho says it best. Super 7 is an option. You have options. Like, you don't have to buy just Hasbro. Like, there's options if you want something different. And that is good. It's always good to have options. Friday's video, when I talk about Mezco Ultraman, is one of those cases of, this is not for everybody, but look at this option you have in case you want it kind of thing. And that's where we're at, I think.
I think what's frustrating. I think what's the ultra frustrating thing about this specifically is they announced this on the same sheet with their whole like QC, like their whole message about the whole QC problems, and then because I know this is certainly not QC, but I feel like the QC and the inaccurate problems go in the same boat.
And that's the thing that's so frustrating is it doesn't matter who's in charge of Power Rangers at Hasbro. We've had these issues since the first wave. Like SPD Shadow Rangers Morpher was printed wrong. It was designed wrong. Like the render and everything was incorrect. The Morpher was not designed correct, and it's just spiraled out of control since. And I really think the only way you solve it is by having somebody be put on the brand that sits down with the designers and says, we need to hammer this out. Let's plan out our figures. Let's look at what we're doing, figure out the budgets now, and then we go to produce the figures. Because it's also haphazard, and you can't predict where it's going to go, because it seems like every single figure is designed from the ground up by a different person, as opposed to sitting down and planning out the accessories and paint.
Soundchecks, no one's telling you to drop your Lightning Collecting.
No, we're just saying that there's
an option.
It's an option. You don't have to buy Super 7. But the thing is that, here's the thing too with Super 7. As Wheels has been posting pictures on Twitter, these Super 7 Dinozords are perfect with the Lightning Collection monsters. And the Super 7 monsters are about the same size as the Lightning Collection monsters. So actually having the larger Hasbro monsters works with the Super 7 Zords really nice. So you have that option with, so like the cross-compatibility, the Rangers won't match, obviously. But the monsters will. So if there's a Super 7 monster you want, it's not going to look out of place with your Hasbro monsters, aside from having a better paint job, because Hasbro decided their monsters are going to be that big from the beginning. So like Madame Woe, for example. If you get Madame Woe from Super 7, you can just roll her into your Lightning display because you won't look out of place.
Also, Super 7 they're not meant to be... Their whole ideal is their modern version of the automorphing toys. That's the whole gimmick of the Super 7 figures. I think people don't realize that they're never meant to be the best toys of these characters. Mm-hmm. They're meant to be, like most Super 7 figures based off old properties, they're meant to be, let's take the old toy and update it with modern action figure standards.
Yep.
So they look more toyetic. And that's the whole deal. If you're not a fan of it, then you don't have to pick them up.
Mm. To address the chat, Infinite, it could be worse. We could be getting flea market bootleg quality plastic figures. However, as I still have not fixed it, this Snizzard I got with his leg detached certainly doesn't feel quality. I mean, he just wasn't even finished. This is not a finished figure, So the thing is, it can be worse, but this figure kind of broke my enthusiasm a lot. And Hasbro's response was, send it back and we'll give you a refund in 4 to 6 weeks or whatever.
4 to 6 weeks, my God.
Yeah, and so I think that, and then also Psycho has mentioned having somebody in Hasbro open like Pookie. We're never going to get that because Pookie works technically for a Hasbro division. So his NDAs are different. That's Pukina on Twitter, which is Simon Bennett, producer Power Rangers. Josh Frisch, you haven't missed too much important. We talked about a Hasbro Mattel licensing deal, and then we've just been kind of complaining about the remastered figures.
Those two of them.
But yeah, so I'm still doing this. I hope they just make a Robo Snizzard, to be honest, because I think I really liked Robo Snizzard in the special.
Well, speaking of, what's your daughter wants to know?
Oh yeah, I guess we kind of skipped over that because I was like, let's complain about toys. I thought Power Rangers Once and Always was great. I enjoyed it. I thought it managed to bring some pretty heavy emotional work into Power Rangers that I haven't seen them ever do, really.
At least in a while.
At least in a while, yeah. Zeltrax, you don't have to complain about stuff then. There's your solution. I know you're burned out on complaining about it. I'm burned out on them giving me reasons to complain, but I'm still going with it because this is what I do. I cover and I analysis. If you don't want to complain about them, you don't have to complain about them, and you can just enjoy me complaining about them. And if you don't enjoy me complaining about them, you can just wait for the next segment. That's the end of that story. But anyways, Once and Always I thought was great. It's probably the best thing I've ever seen this production team do. Because this is the same production team we've had since Ninja Steel. But the thing is I just realized the Snizzard also came with his knee backwards on top of not being attached.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
All right. Anyways, I'm gonna put Snizzard down.
I mean, the Snizzard in the special was the Lightning Collection mascot.
He was. Yeah, I loved how the special was more about the legacy of the Mighty Morphin Rangers, but not just going into it like, oh, the other seasons didn't happen or the other seasons didn't matter. Like it was like one of the first times I actually felt like sort of the stuff they started setting up in Dimensions of Danger, where it's like, oh, all the former Rangers talk to each other. It was kind of like that, but like kind of on a broader scale. And I liked that. I liked the way they handled the Trini storyline. I thought that was really good.
I personally don't get people's issue. I think
Power Rangers fans are going to complain regardless of the fact that we're not going to get anything this good in a while. Because like this was the best we've had in a long time. The
thing is, I feel like people are viewing like the whole they're putting like the whole JDF stuff in front of their mind when they see the Trini. Like no, remember these are characters first, actors second, and like
exactly.
And look, like I think with Trini is like there's nothing wrong with having a character dying to move the story. Like I think like it's not like Trini sacrificed herself to save Billy. That's an honorable that's not like that's an honorable death. If there's gonna be a Ranger have to kick the bucket, I think that is a good way to
because all like 6 times. Okay, but Common JoJo, IGN called it cringe, but you can't spell ignorant without IGN.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, the thing is that I think what worked for it really well was the fact that it's any time a Ranger has died in the show, which has happened 6 times.
Okay, there's Kendricks,
Daggeron, Gem and Gemma,
Steel,
and
I guess last resort kind of thing.
Yep.
I don't
Here's the thing: JDF does not have any control over the character of Tommy.
He doesn't. He played Tommy.
But he played Tommy.
Own Tommy.
But he doesn't own the character. And the thing here's the thing.
Spin Dash asks us Magna Defender count.
No, because original Magna Defender is not a Ranger. Mike is a Ranger. That is the distinction.
I remember having that question.
Yeah, we've had that discussion before. I think that as the number one Magna Defender fan of the Ranger fandom, everybody else can fight me.
There's one thing I want to talk about.
But to finish up the JDF thing,
go ahead.
What would have been disrespectful is if Hasbro recast Tommy. They brought another actor in. They're like, oh, JDF doesn't want to play him. We'll bring in somebody else to play him. No. Like, the thing is that all they did was use old archive audio of JDF. WG Phil, welcome to the chat, mentions, they did it. They filmed it before he died. And the thing is that they can do whatever they need to do with the character of Tommy because he's still a character, regardless if the actor wanted to be a part of it or not. And the thing is that I think that, he was ready to move on to something else in his life. He was talking about that. But the thing is that, regardless if he's moving on, that character still exists, and you can't do this. You can't do the special without acknowledging the character in some way, right?
I think how they handled Kim, Jason, and Tommy I think they handled it perfect fine. I think that's
they did a good job
to use them.
They handled it better than when Austin, Thuy, and Walter left with
dubbers.
Exactly. They didn't dub. They just pulled up whatever audio they could use and make it work. And they even did the work to make sure they got a shorter suit actress for Kim than Kat. Like they had 2 different heights on the Pink Rangers. It was really good.
Super Gem, he did finish the White
Legend of the White Dragon. He did finish his filming for that. It's still in post-production.
Yeah, but still, like, it's not like when the SPD dialed their team up where they had to get Transactor to dub over Tommy since they couldn't get JDF back. No, I think how they handled it was respectful because, because again, since
the tribute at the end of the special, I think, was the best respect they could give.
Yeah, because look, I think the whole JDF stuff was out of because this was filmed way before his passing. So it
was filmed for 12 days back in September of last year.
Yeah, it was fully out of the team's hands. Like if they if I'm pretty sure they would have done stuff with Tommy if there was a film after his passing, but the fact it was like before his passing, there's nothing they could do. It's like literally like you can't like tell. It's a whole like that, you know.
And they weren't going to leave him out of it because the thing is, if they put out this special and there was no Tommy acknowledgement whatsoever, all the reviews would only be asking where was Tommy, and that's the big thing.
And
Jerry, did you have a comment? Because I think you were chiming in a little bit. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, I was saying that the one thing I liked, I liked a lot about it. The one thing I liked was particular how it felt. It didn't like. It got away with more than it would on TV, but it didn't feel like being edgelord. It actually felt like a Power Rangers episode.
No,
I like that a lot.
It felt like a Power Rangers episode.
I was kind of scared they were trying to like adult it up. Just older,
like the 2017 movie, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. No, I think the tone for this is perfect. It's like every other because I think some people some people are dramatic. The quote how dark this special was.
It was basically Power Rangers if they're allowed to say death and kill more.
It's Power Rangers with PG. It's Power Rangers with PG rating.
Yeah.
It wasn't edgelord. It just got away with more.
And they got to stab monsters a lot.
You watch anything like the DC? You watch anything like the DCAU or Young Justice or something like that? Like it's the same thing. It's the same kind of tone. Like it's. I think the special is the perfect. This was technically what's the tone before Neo Saban era, practically.
Yeah, I do want to highlight a couple comments. Zeltrax mentioned Amy Jo gave Hasbro the okay to use her song at the end of the special. Yep, they were in contact with her. She didn't want to do it because she didn't want to do it, not for any nefarious reasons. Like, she just didn't want to do it. That's understandable.
I don't know why so many people are going after Simon and crew about that whole song, man.
Simon makes it easy. Simon makes it easy to go after him. That's the real answer.
I know,
I do want to highlight Josh Frisch's comment. He said, honestly, ASJ, JDF, and AJJ not being in the special allowed for Walter and David to take the spotlight and really shine. Yeah, Walter was great. I think out of everybody in the whole cast, like, Walter Jones was the actor. Like, he really brought it.
I think...
And the thing is, if you had any of the other three in it, they would have sucked all the attention away.
I would say this. I know some people kind of mentioned some about the acting, and look, like I don't want to discredit any of the acting in the special.
A lot of those actors haven't acted in like 20+ years.
I think
someone said Steve Cardenas felt flat when he was morphed, or flat when he was unmorphed, but when he was morphed, he was like really getting into it.
Oh no, man! Steve Cardenas was the highlight of the special for me.
I appreciated his. How dare you interrupt my noodles? I am going to get this over with as soon as possible. I want my lunch back. Energy.
I don't know why, but
it was great.
Rocky in the special gave off like major dad energies.
Oh yeah, and the thing is too is I think Steve Cardenas hasn't acted since Turbo. Like he hasn't done any acting since Turbo, minus showing up for Dimensions in Danger, but they only gave him 2 lines of dialogue, so I don't count that.
I think Walter is the most well-experienced actor, because he has done more acting outside of Mighty Morphin, so that's why I feel like his performance definitely felt the strongest. But
David was a little off, but he hasn't done any acting in a long time. I think he's only been doing writing.
I would say this about David is even if his acting isn't like super like amazing, I think he's the heart of the special. Like I think that's what makes it up. Is even if his delivery is still a little more stilted, I can feel like I still say every scene with him, I can feel the emotion in it. I think
they did a really good job with the emotions, and I think tying the emotions to Trini's death allowed the actors to tap into a personal feeling, which is a way quicker method of getting actors into an emotion, is if they can tap into it personally.
And I think what I like about Once and Always, especially compared to, say, the Sentai 10 years after films, because this is practically what this is. It's a blank years after for Power Rangers. Is I feel like a lot of times with the Sentai years after, it feels more like, oh my god, guys, the game's back together. Let's do everything we did in the show and like all that stuff. It didn't really. This felt like a proper. Here's where they are now.
This felt.
Story.
Ironically, because, I mean, Star Trek Picard was fantastic this season. It felt like Picard, where it was like, oh, these are people that had lives in the last 20-something years since we've seen them. Not just that these characters stayed on pause, and then we just hit play again.
Yeah, because that's my problem with some of the Sentai years after films. While some of them definitely goes into their lives after their season, it really did feel like just like, oh, the gang's back together. We need to reference this and that and this and that and blah, 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 and stuff like that. Where
The
this was like
Go
a
one was
proper,
very much a checklist movie.
like, like Zach's a congressman. Billy's now Tony Stark in his universe, and Cat's Rocky's a fireman.
Mhm.
Cat is taking
Cat's a
care of
mom.
JJ. Yeah, and then you have Adam and Aisha at part of SPA, which I think was confirmed as SP Alpha is confirmed.
Yeah, Space Patrol Alpha, and that's the thing too, is that definitely Adam and Aisha were only there kind of as a cameo, but I kind of guessed that from the trailers. I think it was really cool that they were able to bring in everybody that's not like the three big popular actors and give everybody a moment to see where they're all up to, because we've seen, I guess Kimberly's like the only one we don't actually know what she's been up to, but apparently Amy Jo's writing that into a comic. But like, it was nice to see where everybody was, because we've seen a lot of Tommy and Jason since the show ended.
True.
And I feel like
to comment, Tim said Zach as a congressman doesn't match his personality. Yeah, but it does match his experience. He went to a peace conference.
And it's a TV show continuity. It's a TV show.
In the TV show continuity, he went to a peace conference, and that may have spurred his. Yeah, that might have started him down a career, because we never saw him after that, right? He probably got really interested in politics and decided to become a congressman.
Yeah, and like again, that's what I think I really like about the special. It really feels like a proper. Here, it's like like once when we haven't seen a comic here in so long, and they get a brand new you get a special 6-issue miniseries or whatever, and you just see the catch up. It's like it really does feel like you're catching up with these people you haven't seen in a long time, which I like.
Jerry, do you have any thoughts on Jerry? Do you have any thoughts on catching up with characters?
Fine. I remember not knowing where the heck this took place, but when you guys mentioned
it's 2023 because Trini died in 2022.
Like it's
and 1 year later.
Yeah, basically.
So it's 2023.
Just straight up, just continuing, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
2 years before SPD.
Billy owns a company.
Yeah, I guess he came back from Aquatar and started his own tech company, and then
Cranston Tech. He's just Tony Stark.
Yeah, okay. That makes total sense.
And then he put a command center in his basement.
I could even see a storyline where like I don't have the Morphogrid. I could make an Iron Man suit.
That's what he was doing. I like that. I actually do like that. Like they were trying to bring back Zordon, but that's how Rita came in. Like I like that. I think because we're all kind of dealing with how the Rita came back, and I think the way they did it, I like it.
I can't believe it was the same person that wrote the dumb reason Zed came back in Dino Fury.
Because I think
it really shows you a writer on a good day can do something great.
Because at least with the whole reanimated for weapons thing, that's so weird. Because what does a weapon have to like DNA or whatever in that? Like, because do they count as like, are these clones or are these like themselves brought back? That's the only thing weird about the Beast Morpher Dino Fury thing. Here they fully explain Rita's evilness. Like, the Z-Way took out Rita's evilness, but I was still out there in out there. So it just in a way. So when it's like all the particles spread out through the universe. So but when Billy tried to, it's like he was trying to get Zordon back by just taking all the energy and compressing it back to one place to restore Zordon. It compressed back into Rita. I think that's a really.
It kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of Star Trek Picard, where they brought back Data, but he had Lore inside his head too, because Lore was a dominant personality, and they had to fight each other out to take a body.
Poor Alpha. Was it 8?
Alpha 8. First Alpha to canonically die on screen.
Where do they make? I know they're Illinois, but is there like a factory that just like manufactures like Alphas?
Probably. I guess so. Maybe Billy's just like I can copy this tech. It's not that hard. Couple chat questions I wanted to get to. Commodore 64 asks, have any of you lost respect for Austin St. John for what happened? Yeah, I have.
Never cared. I never cared for him personally. So like what he did is like, okay.
The thing he did was pretty despicable. So yeah, I don't really have any respect for him anymore. People share these videos where he's like reacting to Power Ranger stuff, and I couldn't care less. I'm like, sorry, him not being in the special, great thing. I don't mind. Jerry, do you have any strong feelings on that?
I mean, he was my favorite Ranger, but I mean, I really don't.
I like Spin Dash. Sword Art Restoration was practically Luther trying to bring back Brainiac and jail you and getting Darkseid instead.
Yep.
Oh God, it's funny. I'm like you guys. Even though he was my favorite Ranger back then, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. He's not there. Fine.
I was always a Rocky fan.
I've always been a Rocky fan because I never caught early Mighty Morphin.
Yeah.
Anyways, Infinite asks, why didn't Cat and Rocky use their Zeo powers? Because they needed a Mighty Morphin reunion, not a Zeo one. Because honestly, like,
I was thinking about.
Yeah, like the plot reason they only have the Dino Megazord available and they never repaired the Turbo Megazord or the Zeo Megazord. The actual reason is we're doing a Mighty Morphin reunion.
I think it's a lot of people need to realize that while the special definitely make sure like
they needed their core Mighty Morphin 5. They needed their core Mighty Morphin 5. Yeah.
They need to write this carefully where anybody can watch it without worrying about because I feel like you could easily watch this without watching the 30 plus years.
Oh yeah, no, you totally can. But the thing I will say is that if Amy Jo and Austin St. John came back, they wouldn't have called up Steve Cardenas and Catherine Sutherland. They're only in it because those other two aren't, which is fine because I like them. So
I like, no offense to those two at least or Amy Jo, not much also, but like I feel like Catherine Sutherland and Steve Cardenas bring such more charm to
they're really charming people. I interviewed them 9 years ago, but like they're really charming people.
Again, I like the small, even though the main focus, like the main characters are Zach, Billy, and we'll get to Min, but like I don't know, like stuff like Rocky, asking for his he was on his lunch break and Alpha threw away, so he was like, "Where's my dude? You brought my lunch."
I mean, that's character consistent. Like he was really aggro about people not winning his tamales in Zeo.
And Cat, I like Cat mentioning JJ because like you literally have a range. You never really have a like a normal. Like it turns out normal because of course you have Udana, but that was all Mystic Mutter. Yeah. Like that's all like magical land stuff. Like this is Cat is just a normal Mutter that happens to be a ranger also. Like I like seeing stuff like that.
Hellfire brings up a good point. He said, I feel bad for Tanya. She's in a weird spot where she's not a Mighty Morphin Ranger, but she's with other Mighty Morphin Rangers. Yeah, if they do a Zeo reunion, it's a Mighty Morphin reunion too.
It was kind of weird when like the main like focus of the lightning figures was Tanya.
Yeah, I was like Tanya was here, but the thing is that what they should do is they should do like a Turbo in Space Once and Always special when Tanya shows up and takes the Blue Ranger spot. I don't know.
I see many people go like, "Oh, come Tanya's it like Ashley's at the SPA. What is she? Africa? That's been like many years, right? She could easily just move back."
Yeah. No, Aisha. Yeah, Aisha. Yeah, no. People travel just like everybody that comes back from Illinois.
They're not stuck where they are just because that's the last we saw them.
Yeah, Shigs brings up a good point. The Zeo powers weren't destroyed, just retired. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's just. Thing is, I think the Zeo Megazords are just sitting in a hangar somewhere. Like,
probably. I was special shout out, especially to Richard Horvitz and Barbara Goodson. They're just great. It's funny when people go like, "Man, Barbara Goodson's so great." It's like we haven't heard her read in years. Like, as someone who follows Barbara Goodson's voice work outside of Mighty Morphin, it's like she's been great. She was like that's just her doing great acting.
Welcome to the chat, Donnie Pearson. I don't think I read a comment of his, but yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing is I think the ADR work was incredible.
Stream is stuttering a bit.
Come on, OBS.
Oh, okay, we're back. All right. I really like Robo Snitcher and Robo Minotaur who would just bebop and Rocksteady in this special. Special.
It was fun. They had a good part to play. They weren't random like we thought. They weren't random.
They just really give me that bebop Rocksteady henchman vibe, which is great. So I guess
the thing I will say in general, ADR sound mixing and sound design was miles better than anything we've gotten from Power Rangers, I think, since RPM. I don't know what was different this time and who was behind the board, but like sound mixing was great.
Was Scissor and Minotaur New Zealand actors or were they New Zealand actors?
I think they were. They're good.
Because I think because what Barbara and Richard Daly are well experienced voice actors, so of course they sound great. But like I can't think Scissor and Minotaur sound great.
Hellfire asks, what does ADR stand for? ADR is automated dialogue replacement, which is essentially when you have an actor sit in a booth looking at the footage they filmed, and with the footage they filmed, they're matching up and recording dialogue to replace it. Sometimes it will be done in some productions to cover sounds of winds over microphone or crowd sound, and they need to record it so the actor's dubbing it in. With Power Rangers, of course, they have to do that a lot because of all the suit actor footage. They have to do all the voices, and they're watching the footage and dubbing it in, and then it gets mixed into the overall post-production.
All right. Looking up. Robo Snoozer and Minotaur was New Zealand actors. Daniel Martin, who played Snoozer, was Drilltron and Beast Morphers, and Ryan Cooper, who played Minotaur, played 10 Cactus from Megaforce. So they are
New Zealanders.
New Zealanders. Yeah.
They did a great job. I think I agree with Spin Dash. The one thing that Sony's work is fully in sound effects. I agree. They were like the sound effects could have used a big push. Honestly,
I think the music. I think the music was decent, but I think even though Ron came back, it definitely still felt like the Dino Fury.
It was so weird because Ron came back and did music, but it didn't sound necessarily like Ron music.
I'm not sure that was.
I wanted a new lyric song. I'm going to be honest. I wanted to remix a fight or combat or something. But they didn't have the budget for that, because if they had them remix that would have been another extra cost.
So thoughts on
last thing I did see in the chat. Hellfires. Yeah. The difference between voiceover and ADR is with voiceover, it's typically narration or you're doing vocal work for like an animated series. ADR is when you've shot something and you're replacing the dialogue you shot with new dialogue. That's the difference. And Power Rangers like doesn't
the Ranger
do
actors.
Right. It's like Ranger actors when they're doing it's still done in the ADR process. ADR process for Power Rangers because they're matching movements and phrases, not so much having a script, like they're having to make the words and phrases. So it's done under ADR, even if it's not them, but like they're stunt. Essentially, it's their stunt doubles, and that happens in Hollywood too. Like MCU actors have to do ADR for like their stunt doubles when they're on screen, so that it sounds consistent. It's a different process doing ADR versus voiceover in the technical side.
All right, so thoughts on Min, her story in the special.
Min was great.
The one thing we gotta talk about.
I mean, she was slightly obnoxious, but she was definitely a teenager with attitude.
I mean, she's a teenager, so that's
so perfect.
Yes, perfect, exactly.
I think
I liked having the story through her lens.
Mm-hmm.
I like it because it's kind of like the day. I like how they talk about what it means to be a ranger. It does nothing. Not about revenge or taking advantage of power like that. It's kind of funny because I watched Superman the day before, so it's like it's literally the whole like just because you had the power doesn't mean you have the authority to use it. I
like that there was a layered message, because Zach was like, you can't do this just for revenge. You got to do this for the greater good of humanity, kind of thing, right? And then Zach was also like, I got Rita in my crosshairs and I'm blowing her the hell up. There's two sides to being a hero. You're not doing it for revenge, but when you get the chance,
you gotta put them down. Just like I explained in Lord Doom about Carmen Sandiego, the video game version. No, you gotta put her down. For the greater good. It's not a revenge.
I think I really like her character story. I love the moment where she just ran over putties, the rad bug.
I love how that became a meme too in the Power Rangers fandom. I appreciate the meme.
Also, like this, this nice small like LGBT representation with those two like civilians she saved. That was just like nice small.
It was just something. It was inconsequential, but representative for people, and I think that is the kind of like that's the sort of representation we also need more of. Is not just
I think especially with
here's the name characters, but like here's the background characters too.
I think especially with David Yost, with David, I think it's nice to know that we live in an era where he doesn't need to be
not
afraid.
Gonna get bullied.
Back in the day.
Wolf.
We are in different times for Power Rangers. While I may not necessarily like Dino Fury that much, I'd say on the production side of things, we're in a much better spot than we've ever been. I just, I hope the production continues to get better. I'm hoping Cosmic Fury is more in line with Once and Always, or we're going to find out how much David Yost was whispering over shoulders going, you should change this script, you should do this instead, because apparently he had some notes as they were working on this.
So I guess the last big
Infinite can't be a Ranger Revenge. Magna Defender begs to differ. Yeah, that's why he's not a Ranger. Mike is a Ranger as Magna Defender, but Magna Defender was out for himself, not for others, until the very end of his storyline. So that's why he's not considered a Ranger.
So I guess the last big thing we need to talk about.
Oh, I forgot to end the poll. We're gonna kill the poll now.
I guess the last big thing we need to talk about is how do you felt about the Megazord fight? Because I think for me because I feel like I know as someone who knows about how 3D animation works, I personally don't think that 3D animation is bad, and I don't even think the model honestly.
Here's my problem. Here's where I'll sum it up pretty great. When they brought out the Zords, I was hyped. Looked fantastic. When they brought out the combination, I was like, yeah, this is great. And then the thing stood up and it had those big ass thighs, and I was like, "Wait, what?" That was the only thing the only complaint I actually had about Megazord fight. I thought the rest of it was fine, but the thighs, the Megazord's thighs were too big, and it was distractingly large.
And the arms are tiny.
The arms are tiny.
Tiny arms.
Yep.
So it's childbearing hips.
Yeah, as someone who works with
his hips were bigger than the deluxe toy. It was weird.
As someone who works with 3D models and know how they work, there's some because I think the Robo Studio model actually is fantastic. I think it looks great, and I think the texturing, the lighting, it was great. It was compared to Toei CG, especially. I think the
texturing was the big thing. The texturing was great.
Yeah, because I think it's actually lit compared to previous Power Rangers CG stuff. It's so because I feel bad for Simon on Twitter because he's not a toy guy at all.
Oh yeah, everyone's like, "Why'd you use the Zap Megazord?" And I'm sitting here like, "No, they didn't. They used the Zord model, but the Megazord doesn't have the proportions of the Zap."
That's so weird that Hasbro sent. I'm pretty sure it's just the CAD.
Oh yeah, I should tell you guys some behind the scenes stuff we learned from Twitter. First of all, Hasbro sent a design spec for the Megazord so they could CG it, model it, and rig it, and that was apparently off the Zap. They couldn't use the suit from Toei because they didn't have the space and time and budget to make a Zord set, right? They couldn't. They didn't have stage space to build it for one Zord fight, right?
Some people don't realize how hard it is to actually make a giant kaiju fight.
It is.
I think people think
there's a reason why there's a reason why they're using Q Ranger Zord footage for Cosmic Fury. You have to have dedicated studio space to shoot something on a stage. It takes a lot of room.
You can't film it outside because proportions would be whack.
Yep, and that thing is, even with outside, you have to still have miniatures built, and that is still more money. But the thing is that I didn't mind the actual CG Zord fight. I thought it was good, especially with the budget we're working with. This was made off the budget of Cosmic Fury would have been 13 episodes if it wasn't for this. Essentially, is what we found out.
It's just quite interesting that they just had to send the CAD files or wherever they sent to the team for the Zords, but they did not send the complete Megazord model.
Right.
I just find that weird because
and that sounds totally like Hasbro. The other thing we learned, so I haven't mentioned this because I know a lot of people keep mentioning in the comments. There was not story reasons for any of the Rangers that were in that scene. The only thing they made sure was they avoided SPD and Dino Charge because separate timelines, right?
Yeah, times in the universe.
I don't think there was any rhyme or reason. They just stuck figures in because apparently they bought Lightning Collection figures at a Target in California, prepped the props, and then shipped into New Zealand. And
I think the only ones that were proper props were red, green, and pink,
right?
Because they had the rubber overlays.
Red, green, and pink had the overlays because they had close-ups on those. They had close-ups on those specifically, so they didn't want to have the joints.
That was funny because red and green had the incorrect helmets.
Right, exactly. So the thing is that it was weird because Simon used the phrase, "We went out and bought figures," and I'm like, why wouldn't Hasbro just give you figures? It was weird. So I'm not exactly sure the source on all that, but
because I don't
where did they get all these things, and how did they get a Dino Thunder white with the correct helmet? I don't know. Maybe Hasbro did send them stuff, and that's just whatever they had.
hold on. The stream said the stream's back. Stream's back.
Yeah.
But like, it made the guy from a local seller.
I can't do anything about it.
Uh-oh.
Let me try closing the Blazar pages.
You were breaking.
Your audio is also going wacko, so I think.
Oh, boy.
I got a green.
Buffering. No, we're back. We're back.
Yeah,
we're back.
Yeah. Okay, we're back. Spin Dash says, did he actually say went out and bought? I recall him saying someone came to New Zealand playing with him, maybe to save on shipping. That yeah, I don't know, because he replied to like 4 different people with similar but different answers. I wish Simon Bennett would just publish a blog. My God, just make a blog post of every anecdote and stop having to, have us ask him on Twitter and get different answers. Yeah, but I mean, Strix brings up a good point. They bought replacement toy morphers during filming Mighty Morphin. Yeah, they kept breaking the props, so they just went and bought toys. But the question is like, if this is the big special, why is Hasbro not just like giving them figures? But maybe they did. They built the props in LA, flew them over to New Zealand. It's possible.
I just find they still use the Bandai Legacy morpher as the prop still.
That's still the best morpher. Like, Bandai. Bandai's Legacy morpher was still the best morpher we ever got.
So back on the CG Megazord, it's I think the model. So what's weird, not even just the weird tiny arms and the big dies, but it's more of how they move it and more of the arms, because they use the joint of the arms folding in as its elbow
Psycho
joint.
no. Anyways, continue.
But like, because you look, because you ever see, you look at in the Zord fight, his arms are always on the side, where the black part of the mammoth is on the side. Because I think my guess, the animators don't actually know how the Zord moves in terms of the model they got, so they think, oh, the transformation hinge is the elbow hinge,
right?
So they animated like that instead of like how most toys, like both the original suit of the Zord, and most toys do it, where it just bends like normally, and they made a separate elbow joint from the transformation hinge. So it always looks weird when essentially that shot at the last shot where you see the Zord is standing where the Ranger's over the balcony, where it has his arms on his side and holding the sword like that. It's like, it looks so awkward. It like,
yep.
Yeah, I don't think the CG
I don't think it was bad. Like, I watched the Mighty Morphin movie last week for fun, and it runs a lot better than the Mighty Morphin movie CG.
Anybody who says they dislike the CG fight but likes like the Dom Brothers CG Zord fights, you're hypocrites. I'm calling you out. They're the same thing. They're basically the same thing.
I do want to roll out the final discussion topics. Do you guys have any final thoughts on? Because I want to get to Blazar. We're almost out of time today.
I think overall it's a great special. I do really recommend it. It's I think it just has a lot of heart.
It has a lot of heart. There is some production limitations, but for a 55-minute special that was only the budget of like two episodes, I think.
I mean, this is our first
all original. Yeah, they only reused footage from Mighty Morphin.
Yes, it's just like for the whole past stuff. So so it's fully original.
Jerry, what do you think? Do you think Power Rangers is in good hands now that it's off Nickelodeon?
Yeah, I pretend to be mad at the continuity, but it's fine. I think I mentioned it feels like it's just a continuation of the old days with the tone, writing.
A lot of people mentioned the Harvey Garvey.
Oh yeah, the talk show host that Kim Strauss played. Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, it got wrecked.
It's like they don't get to keep your tombstone.
Even
Harvey
in
Garvey
death, gets no respect.
Honestly, I guess the one thing I'm surprised they didn't try to kind of conclude is whatever happened to Ninja, because that's still the biggest what happened to him.
I wonder if the thing is, it would have been too much for this one special to include Ninja. There's a lot to do. I would say I want a special all about Ninja, or a comic or something. I would like it. But
Ninja.
I'm going to wrap up our Power Rangers talk. It's been great, but I do want to talk about Ultraman Blazar. First of all, our poll results. I said, do you wish the remaster was an accurate Green Ranger? We had 33 votes. 57% said yes, Shield, Dagger, the works. 27% said I don't care. No said 15% said no, I want a variant suit, and nobody said yes, even though I won't buy it. So I think everybody wants to buy it, but wants it accurate.
Where's Ultraman?
Ultraman. Let me pull up the page again because I had to kill it because I forgot I left Bandai's page open. That's why I've been having buffering trouble.
So
Blazar, Ultraman Blazar, and totally froze my screen captures. So if you guys just hold on, boom, there we go. All right, Ultraman Blazar. See you later, Donnie Pearson. Thanks for coming to the stream. Ultraman Blazar. I want to go over the quick details, quick and dirty, and then we'll get some quick and dirty thoughts that aren't too dirty because this is a PG stream. First of all, straight up English logo. I don't know, is it Blazar or Blazar? Because I keep going Blazar because of the
Blazar.
I think it's Blazar. I keep saying Blazer, but I think it's Blazar.
What is, because it's based on a cosmic phenomenon known as. There's a cosmic phenomenon of the same. Hold on.
Like a quasar, but a blazar?
Yeah, exactly. It's a version of a quasar that there's a whole, like, people have talked about the science behind it. Okay, Wikipedia doesn't have a pronunciation. I'm going to go with Blazar because of quasar.
There you go.
All right, so this series debuts July 8th on YouTube, like the last several Ultramans. The main protagonist, we'll talk about him in a moment. First of all, here's the suit. As of now, there are no alternate forms for Blazar. This is it. This is the only form he's getting right now. That is a huge departure.
What do you guys think of design? Because I personally like it, but like there's a lot of things where I think there's like a lot of story. I think like out of all the previous Ultra suits, I think this is the one that I feel like there's a story behind the design.
There's
like,
got to be because they keep lighting up the red and blue lines when he's doing moves in the trailer.
Because it looks like it doesn't look like proper. It's not like that was a purposely design. It looks like some kind of like infection or some kind of like
something related to the cosmic phenomenon known as a Blazar.
Probably.
Yeah.
I like it, Jerry. What do you think?
I love it.
Do you want to draw it though? Because it's intricate.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love all the memes of all the artists, Ultraman artists going like, "Oh man, the Ultra Show! Oh my god, no!"
Well, maybe I'll put them in comics because I don't shade.
It gives me a lot of Nexus vibes.
Mm-hmm.
It really.
I love the helmet so much.
Again, like it really gives you something where like that doesn't look like a proper like part of the helmet. It looks like it's like bursting out of his head. Like it doesn't look proper, which is like gives me more like this feels like there's a story behind this design.
Yeah,
for this Ultra design, which makes me really like it.
All right, so going alongside that, we got Blazar. Here's his transformation item, the Blazar Brace, which is cool. Yes. I like it.
It's so simple.
That's the first tension device I've wanted in a long time.
I like it. Looks like the Neos like transformation device.
Yeah.
I like the wrist brace. We haven't had a wrist brace since what, Max, right? Or yeah, I think it was Max that had a wrist.
Ginga.
Oh yeah, the Ginga string. I don't count that as a henchman. I always keep forgetting that because I count that as more of just
once he gets it, he wears it for the rest of the show. So
I always keep forgetting because when I think Ginga's henchman device.
Here is the item used to transform into Blazar, the Blazar Stone. We'll talk more about this in a minute. They have a new robot. Their new. His name is Earth Garen. I love him.
He has Digimon eyes.
He has Digimon eyes.
Kiryu? What?
Right? I love him already. He's adorable. I want to hug him.
He's like a happy version.
It's a happy Kiryu. It's like if Kiryu is the dark Digivolution, this is the good Digivolution. I love him. He's great.
Mateki T does mention the Taiga brace, but that was a full like gauntlet.
That's true, but it was a wrist brace.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this. He's adorable. Speaking of adorable, this man is 30 years old and has a 7-year-old kid and a wife. What?
Yeah. Oh man, when I read that, I was like, yeah, old man protagonist. We needed that in a long time.
As everyone was already saying in the chat, new generation Ultraman the next.
Yeah.
I love what Taguchi is cooking.
Oh, Wheels.
Wheels, you're in time for the Blazar.
Oh, you're in time for the Ultraman discussion.
We're talking Blazar. Okay.
Your mic's mute.
So, yeah, I might have to adjust his audio too. We'll have to find out. Anyways, we're going to keep rolling. Anyways, he was Heart in Kamen Rider Drive, which is fine, but he's now Ultraman, and that makes him more important now.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't
so
go.
happy. I'm so happy to have an older protagonist, Ultraman. Like
Yeah.
as someone whose like favorite character of all time is Kotetsu from Tiger Bunny, I need more older characters as the main
And he has a
hero.
kid.
And yeah, the fact he's a kid also.
Also breaking new ground, he is the captain of SCARD, the defense force. So.
Yeah, a captain, which is like that's a first, right, for Ultraman Wednesday, right?
The captain being the Ultra. I keep seeing
so
people
great.
make jokes of Medic being the wife. That'd just be funny. That'd be crazy casting. So anyways, the lead director / story composer, Kiyotaka Taguchi, the guy who's basically been like spearheading the last few shows. And basically Taguchi is able to cook in the kitchen without anybody involved because he was the one that suggested to put Ultraman Z on YouTube, which we can all agree was the moment that Ultraman really broke out and became super duper successful. So Taguchi was the one that said, "Let's put Z on YouTube."
We might as well not even have Wednesday's show now.
I mean, what we're talking about it right now. You want to talk about it?
No, I'm just making the joke about like how we do your stream and then it pretty much ruins Wednesday.
Exactly. We're doing it now because I'm here now and we're talking about it now and I want to talk about it now.
I'll just start moving your streams to Wednesday and just take over Hero Club Weekly.
You know, maybe not the worst idea.
So no Sound Out Live, just Hero Club Weekly.
Or we just keep talking about Ultraman and talk about all this later.
But anyways,
Taguchi. So Taguchi suggested Ultraman Z on YouTube. Taguchi had interference from Bandai throughout all of Trigger, including a story where he was told the Nurse Desi needs to defeat Absolute Diavolo because it's the new toy this week. And he was like, no, why?
Yeah, because I heard, I think it was pretty well known that Trigger had a lot of behind the scenes issues.
There was a lot of Bandai telling them what to do.
Because I heard like they had this big plan for it wasn't like what it was in Trigger was not going to be just a pure Tiga remake that was going to be his own thing, but then Bandai said no, right?
Right, exactly. And so
literally just going to take the Final Odyssey thing, and then that was going to be its basis.
Yep.
And then it was going to be its own kind of show where it was still Tiga, but not as bad.
Pretty much, yeah. It was gonna be better than the one with the Trigger we got. Pretty much.
Yeah, it was literally just gonna be what if Final Odyssey was the whole plot of the series.
Also, those in the chat, if you have trouble hearing Wheels, let me know. I can turn them up. I think he's coming in enough.
Discord sucks.
Discord's great. We are having so much better time this week on Discord than we've ever had on Skype.
It just hates Wheels.
It hates Wheels, and Skype hates Max. So
yeah, no, it's the trade-off.
It's the trade-off. Okay, so Taguchi has been working, and he was able to get more control over Decker, essentially. And then this time, he apparently, like, they told him, we're not going to interfere with your ideas. You just get to go for it. We trust you. And he took that as a personal challenge and was not taking any notes from anybody.
No gimmicks. He's like, no gimmicks.
And that's where we get to, essentially, if this series really takes off, if this becomes super successful commercially, viewership-wise, everything, Taguchi's going to be our Ultra guy. Like, permanent until he wants to stop, because this is the test. Can he take?
I mean, what's even crazier is like, now we're just gonna get. Oh, are you gonna mention it?
I'm going to mention the toy thing in a minute. We're keeping.
I was mentioning about the show and the dub.
They've already confirmed a dub. It's gonna not so. Not only will it simulcast, it sounds like a dub might be rolling out as soon as 1 week after the episodes air.
Cause I'm reading right here. First ever in the series, that English dub version of Ultraman Blazar is in schedule to be released online simultaneously with the Japanese version.
There was another comment on one of the tweets that mentioned
that you're not just using our article.
I am reading our article.
The thing was, there was another tweet that was posted later that said something about 1 week later, and I don't know if that meant the dub 1 week later or if the show's 1 week later in some Asian regions. But they're not just dubbing it into English; they're dubbing it into several languages. They're going for it, guys. They're going for the new generation Ultra N project. I hope ends better than the Ultra N project, because this is great. I'm hoping this goes better than the Ultra N project did, because it's a very similar vibe. So, can everyone hear me? I'm still
Yeah,
connected?
yeah.
All right, cool.
yeah.
Now, here is the big thing. All right, if we go to Bandai's page, you can see the toy. You can notice that there is this cool deluxe strong set that comes with like 10 of these metal things plus Blazar's device. And this thing, you're like, oh, okay, so he's got powers of previous Ultraman. No. The only one that's in the show confirmed is the Blazar medal. All of these other legacy gimmicks.
Exclusive.
All of these are toy exclusive. Now, that does not mean I don't want them, because the actual animations on this incredibly complicated LED screen matches their Rise animations from...
You remember the drive? Pretty much. Remember the driver?
Yeah, it's like the driver in a way. It's way more advanced. It's more like the Vision driver in its complexity. But it has voice clips for the Ultras and their hosts. It's got sound effects, attack sounds, crazy animations. Like the Zet stone activates Zet and Haruki voices. I want this. I really do. I just like amazed that, they're doing this. But the thing is, in show, we're only going to see Blazar's chip and Blazar's device. But outside of the show, you get all the Legacy Ultra stuff that Bandai loves. But it's cool, because unlike Ultraman Rube, where they were like, you got to put some Ultraman stickers on those elemental crystals, they're not forcing the gimmick into the show this time, which I think is going to let the show breathe. It's still going to be 25 episodes. I don't think it's going to be any longer, because, Subaru is still broke. But without all this clogging it, I think we're going to have some more ability depth for Blazar. And then also there's a giant robot toy with 17 kinds of sounds and 20 points of articulation, and then your usual vinyl and all that. And there's a special campaign 0 with the Dimensionizer device
that
as
makes
well.
Every single Ultra Grunt, which created one of my favorite memes.
It makes every single Ultra Grunt. I am very tempted to buy this set with the device in 10 when it comes out and get it through Amazon, so I can get the extra bonus one. But we'll see, because I
did, because it's like simple, but it's cool, so cool, because
It's... Also, the weird part is that set with the brace and 10 things is already up on Big Bad Toy Store for like $105. So that was fast.
I really do hope the dub is still Okatron. I won't be
surprised. I believe it is. I believe it's going to be. I think one of the Okatron people slipped up and said it was them, but then they deleted it.
They already did. They already did. It was one of their, like, that doesn't have a real Twitter presence. It was like one of their translators said it, and like immediately everyone was like, "Who is this person?" Yeah, it was one of those ones where it was like a random vague tweet talking about it, and it was like some random translator who doesn't even mention they work for the site, but they're followed by everyone involved with Okatron or whatever.
Yeah, so it's likely.
That's how I found out.
It's likely, and I imagine that after them doing the Shin dub and then doing the Zet dub, they're doing the Blazar dub.
They're probably already in the contract, probably, kind of thing.
They're probably already working on it, because Super Raya, unlike Toei, shoots months in advance. Yeah, that's why their VFX are better. That's why their shows come out consistently. So they're probably already working on the dub. They probably already got it cast.
I imagine, because I don't like. I'm pretty sure they're in pre-production now. Maybe most like.
Oh no, they've already started filming for Blazar.
Oh, right.
Because that trailer is all footage that was being shot, so they've already started filming the show.
Remember, Blazar will be done most likely by the time we're even in the halfway point. They're usually. I
know we're probably going to be done filming. They'll probably be done filming within the first month of it airing. Because usually what happens.
Done with like the first month to first 12 episodes. They were very close.
I mean, since they don't have to worry about lip syncing,
by the time we find out they get their flowers, it's usually episode 10 or 12.
Yep. And the thing is too is that from what I've heard, that they actually stopped filming earlier. They just don't want to tell people. They don't tell people until 10 or 12. So. I
mean, because out of all the Ultra shows we've gotten in the last couple of years, this has like actual footage of the show. Because usually.
It's usually just like transformation footage.
Transformation footage and posing. Well, we have actual footage of the show, so that means this definitely is a little more in advance.
And if they're simul dubbing, they needed it in advance too, so that way they have time to get the dub done.
I mean, because since they don't have to worry about lip syncing, it will be definitely less. They definitely probably get done faster since they don't have to worry about lip syncing. Of course, they're still need to make sure to get the emotions and everything right. But still, it's definitely more quicker than making sure your flip flops match.
And then adding to that, the other I don't have like the good source on it, so you guys are just gonna have to trust me on this. There was a lot of things that came out of a Toei financial report recently that makes me understand why Writer's distribution in the West has been so weirdly
Rocky.
bad.
That thing was hilarious.
Yeah,
it was like we think Tokusatsu is this low property and it's only anime.
So yeah, no. The thing is, we're not going to talk like we know what Toei's thoughts are. Toei told us Tokusatsu is not our priority. Okay, straight up, anime is their priority, especially outside Japan. The region priorities for Tokusatsu go Asia, then Latin America, then U.S., Canada, then Europe, and that just explains everything we've seen.
America. You know, it's why it's Latin America, not because of their entitlement issues, but it's because they just straight dub it versus us, where the Bond had to, in quotation, bastardize, as some people would say.
Exactly. So the thing is that Latin America has, I think, a bigger Tokusatsu scene in terms of just
definitely
bringing shows
over.
over.
Metal Hero, though, down there, which is funny.
Yeah.
Kind of do.
And so the thing is that for Toei, the thing is we can compare and contrast all we want. The people at Kamen Rider, like Shirakura, definitely wanted it, and some other producers want it. I mean, Kamen Rider wants to expand. Toei is like, it's not a priority right now. Like, they want to get, they've got Asia established, they want to get Latin America established, then they'll do the US, Canada, then they'll do Europe.
Which is fine.
We're years off from them even caring about us at this point.
Meanwhile, like Samurai is global.
Yep.
Global.
Subaru, and this is the difference. This is the key difference between the two companies. Toei is a huge corporation whose majority of business is anime. Tokusatsu is a side gig even in Japan. Subaraya, entire business is Tokusatsu, and specifically their entire business is Ultraman. While Gridman is working over here, that's mostly a Studio Trigger project.
Subaraya they just let them use the IP.
Exactly. Subaraya is dead focused on Ultraman, and that's why they're like, put it on YouTube, get it out there, get a dub going, put the movies out here and there. Like, they're going all in on it.
Team up with Marvel, team up with Netflix, make a movie, all that stuff.
Guys,
they're doing all that because Ultraman is their one and only thing.
Guys, we know the real reason, though. The real reason Tokusatsu won't be big for another 3 years is because they want to dry out the cash cow that is One Piece. One Piece is gone, everyone's going to have to flock to Tokusatsu because they don't have any other big animes at this time. It's kind of like one of those things where it's just One Piece. I don't know any other Toei show. There probably is other Toei show. They don't exist outside of One Piece. Once One Piece is dead,
yeah,
Tokusatsu will reign supreme.
And it might. So the thing is, too, is that there definitely is a shift at Toei with
everyone turn against One Piece.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, there's definitely a shift at Toei to make their Tokusatsu more anime to appeal to the rest of their demographics. If you notice, Geats and King Oger are live-action animes, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Practically.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I think it's actually helped the show significantly. But, yeah. And the thing is that, and Shigs brings up a good point. Toei could just let Shout license Sentai and Rider at decent prices in the meantime. Yeah, they could, but Toei's a stick in the mud.
Part of it could be part of it couldn't just be Toei, but I think with Rider, I think
yes, in the same report, it was cited the reason why Rider isn't globally broadcast online is because of TV Asahi not having an exclusive contract that they're the only ones that get to air a show while it's currently airing. After it's aired, they don't care, but while it's airing, only TV Asahi can air it. And that is, like, in the contract. And until that contract expires, or I don't know if it ever will expire, until that deal is done, we're never going to see simulcast Rider shows. That's why we got Black Sun and Futo PI, because those weren't TV Asahi shows.
If you guys want to hear another interesting thing, TV Asahi is like a dictator. It is horrible. And the thing is, too, usually they never really cut ties with an organization. They never usually do, with some cases only being Wrestling Federation.
The only way Toei gets out of it is if they choose to get out of it and push for it.
Yeah, because in the 90s, if I recall, TV Asahi like threw wrestling companies around like they were nothing. They treated them like they were just things. Versus, I guess, Toei with Toei Animation, they're like keep that stranglehold pretty well on them, specifically, from what I've understood.
Yep.
Because a lot of the wrestling YouTubers have talked about the weird issues that Asahi has. Like, they have their own, like, you can only do this, this, and this on the channel at these times, and if you have these actors or talents associated with them, they kind of get Johnny's, weirdly enough. They're like, they will try to bunker down whatever they realize is the best cash cow, and if you don't make crap for them, like, if you don't make, you know, a crap ton of money, they will just throw you out. They will just
mob tactics. It's mob tactics at the end of the day, right?
Much.
So yeah,
some of the other stations are a little bit more looser with their stuff.
Yeah, like TV Tokyo. That's why we get Digimon, because it's not on TV, obviously. That's it for the show this week. So,
but yeah, overall, I think
I'm excited for Blazar.
I'm really excited for Blazar.
I'm so hyped. I'm like, Nexus 2.0, let's go. Just be better this time and don't bankrupt the company. I think the
up is if Taguchi is caught for like sexual harassment charges, like relative was.
That's the only way he can get off. That's the only way.
Pretty much, like I do think that we're not going to see necessarily Nexus 2.0 in tone, because I think, especially watching Nexus again, I'm like, man, Nexus went too dark in a lot of ways.
No, Nexus, they're still going to make this for general audiences.
This is still, I think this is going to be tonally like Zet, like Decker, but it's going to be, it's not using that formula. It's breaking that formula. And I think that's good. Also, SHJ4 Jason mentions Johnny's pulled the SHF Tiga commercial. Yeah, it probably was a limited license. It probably was a limited license for that commercial. And Bandai's like, well, we're not selling it anymore. We don't have to re-up the license. And also, I got bad news about my Tiga figure art. And you can find out more on Friday's video when I talk about Mezco Ultraman. So, there, teasing. But I mean, I'm legit. There's an issue with my Tiga now, so we'll talk about. You can see it in the video. I'm not going to spoil it. It's horrible, though. Yeah. So Shigs mentions that they had the original Kamen Rider, but no home release. Shout did say they're just not sure if they can afford to do that show on a Blu-ray, because it's 98 episodes. That is a huge commitment.
2 volumes.
It'd have to be 2 volumes. They have to commit to it. And they could do it. It's just a matter of budget, and that
I think because
they got to make sure it will sell. They have to make sure it'll sell. That's the big thing.
Shout has done like 90 episode Blu-rays before, have they?
They have. They've done large sets before, but it's always with things.
I think it's more of like, will it sell?
Will it sell? Exactly. It's not that they can't split it. Like, they obviously can. It's that, will it sell well enough for Volume 1 to allow them to have the funding to do Volume 2. They have to make sure both that it's actually going to sell, because they can't put out both at the same time. And if they split it up, they have to make sure Volume 1 sells enough to make Volume 2, so we don't have a Beetleborgs VR Trooper situation where the first 3 volumes didn't sell well, so the last one became a Shout exclusive. But then again, maybe that's the way they have to do it, is through their website. But they have to make sure it'll sell, because that's hard. 98 episodes is a lot. It's a huge undertaking.
That's such an old show that people may not like.
Yep. So yeah, I mean it's doable, but they have to. So the thing is, I think that's why they threw out Ryuki after Kuga. They're like, we need to get sales up so we can make sure the upper heads feel confident doing this.
And they can, they have advantage of Dragon Knight people, like, people who like Dragon Knight might want to check out the original source material over that.
Yeah. And that's the big thing, is that they have to. It's not that they can't do it. It's just they have to make sure the audience is large enough to justify the production cost, because it'll be. I rounded it out. I think it had to be like 12 to 14 discs.
Yeah, all one big set.
Yeah, but split into 2, most likely. But yeah, anyways, the big thing, Ultraman Blazar is coming up. We'll talk about more of it on the channel. Like I said, there are videos coming this week. We've got. I want to run through the videos this week just so I can promote things, because with Twitter being run by twats and really broken, I don't know if anybody's going to see these, so I should promote it here. Wednesday, flashback to the time I interviewed Catherine Sutherland and Steve Cardenas. You'll also hear about a defunct website that I used to be a part of in that because of the old footage that I couldn't cut around.
No, what you should do is just like horribly dub it over, like.
I thought about doing that, but then that defeated the purpose of having something easy to edit. So that'll be coming Wednesday, and then coming Friday will be my review of the Mezco 1/12 Collective Ultraman, which I am very excited to show off because I think I got some good footage for it, and I will review that. I've got it already filmed, so it'll be out Friday, so you guys can see what the heck Mezco 1/12 Collective is if you're not used to it, because the Tokusatsu space has not had them before. So that's that. That's about it. I think that's everything we got going on. Fighter Cows, where can people find you, specifically tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern?
Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, I'll be streaming over at twitch.tv/FighterCows. And it'll be more of you and me just shooting the breeze.
Playing
talking
KOF.
about video game news time.
Including Street Fighter 6 demo? You want to talk about it?
God, we gotta talk about it.
Are you gonna make abominations in Street Fighter 6's character creator?
No, because Alex, and Starshot already agreed we're not buying it day one.
Good, because I'm not either. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. And Muteki T,
yeah.
I hope to see you there. Because we like when you show
also
up.
Even more to talk about. That's 4 p.m. Eastern.
4 p.m. Eastern, and then also Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, you have another stream.
Yes, and I'll be playing Fate.
We will be playing KOF tomorrow. We'll just be talking about Street
KOF.
Fighter.
Yeah.
So that'll just be confusing for anybody that doesn't know. Ryan.
Follow me at DarkHost4Tree on YouTube and Twitter. I do art commissions like the one you see on this very stream. You want any? Feel free to DM me on Twitter.
Very nice, concise, rolled out. Wheels, you got anything to promote besides our awesome hero-club.com?
YouTube, Twitter, Wheelchair21, HeroClub.com. We have interviews, reviews, so much more. Yada yada.
Yep.
Taking over the world, etc., etc.
If you want any Blazar toy, check out our affiliate at Hobby Link Japan.
Yes, check our social media at Hero Club for Life.
I have a link up on my personal Twitter, but pretty much it's the same affiliate link. I'm allowed to share it multiple places.
So check it out, and you know where to find me because you're already here. This is my main spot for things. So on that note, I hope you all have a wonderful week. We will see you next week. My favorite Pokemon movie is Pokemon 3, and goodbye.